To buy or not to buy? That is the question. Yep, I've got loads of rent-to-rent deals that are coming to an end of a 5-year term now. And some landlords want to go again. Some landlords want to sell. And this particular landlord is open to both things. So I'm going to crunch the figures. Should I buy the property or should I just go for another 3 to 5 years? Let's check it out. I'm Simon, the founder of Rent to Rent 2.0. And over the past 5 years, I've built a 7-figure revenue rent-to-rent business. And then I use that cash flow to buy properties that I own for long-term legacy wealth. And at the moment, I've got a huge opportunity in my business because I've been in rent-to-rent 5 years and a lot of my deals are ending. So I've got a few options. I either buy the property, I either extend, they either decide they want to sell and I don't want to buy it, so I give it back, or technically I could source the property onto one of my investors and keep in management if I wanted to. So what I've done is I've done a spreadsheet, it's really rough, but it shows the investment difference between purchasing the asset and just going for another few years. Now keep in mind, because I've had it a few years, I've already invested 5, 6, 7 grand originally. But in terms of my investment as of today, this is going to show you how. So as you can see from the spreadsheet, purchase price for the property is on the left-hand side and then the rent-to-rent figures are on the right. So if we do a versus, if I buy it for £260,000, my deposit would be 65. My stamp duty would be £7,800. That's the taxes you need to buy an asset. And the legal fees would be £2,000. So total investment to buy the asset today, 74,800. Total investment to just do another 3 years, 0. That's a bit mad. So that's crazy. Figures below, you will see that the mortgage on the property is actually 1,100 versus the current guaranteed rent is 900, and the landlord will probably be fine with that to go again. So the mortgage is £200 more than the guaranteed rent. Now, I know that there's 4 lettable rooms in this property, but at 1,100, it's going to be tight as a HMO, so I had to do the figures as an SA. So I've done 80%, 90%, 100% occupancy for both. And you'll see the income figures are the same because you're charging £130 per night. The mortgage versus the guaranteed rent is different. 1,100 for the mortgage, 900 for the guaranteed rent. Bills and expenses all the same. So let's go to the bottom line. The bottom line is I would generate £1,520 at 80% occupancy. Normally I'd be over the moon with that. Up to 1,900 for 90% and a whopping 2,300 if I own it. And if I go again for the guaranteed rent, you can see those figures are just all £200 more because the guaranteed rent is £200 less. But the bottom part is where it gets interesting. The return on capital, or the return on capital employed, ROIC. Now, some people talk about the yield or return on investment of the entire price of the property. So if the property is 260 grand and you are making 26 grand a year, then that's a 10% return on investment. But I don't care about that. What I care about is my return on the money that I've got in the deal. So if I purchase it, I've got 74,800, which means at 80%, I've got a 24% return on my money. Okay, let me just break that down. I'm generating £18,240 net cash flow for 74,800 of investment. And if you follow the spreadsheet across, it goes to 31% and 37%. But here's my problem. On the right-hand side, you will see my return on investment for rent to rent is infinite because I'm putting no money in and I'm collecting the same out. That's the big issue that I've currently got at the moment. Now, one thing that this spreadsheet doesn't take into account, of course, is the capital appreciation. But guys, if I hold this property on and get 90% occupancy, and let's say I do 5 more years, I'm gonna generate 130 grand. So that's 25 grand times 5, right? It's about 130 grand. Am I going to get 130 grand of capital appreciation by buying it? Because if I'm not, I'm better off doing the rent to rent. And that is why I'm struggling with this one. So let me know in the comments, would you buy this property or would you rent it for another 5 years? And then the other element here is, if the landlord's not prepared to carry on, is it then worth buying it just to hold on to the property? So I've got this conversation at the moment with about 7 of my deals. Super tough, but I wanted to share with you what I'm doing in my business and the reality of this. I hope you found this useful. It's a really interesting concept, but rent to rent 2.0, you just can't really beat it.